Ethan Cole spent 3 years watching security cameras. Most nights, nothing happened. Then one Tuesday morning, he watched himself die. The strange part wasn't that it happened. The strange part was that it hadn't happened yet.
Not every story gets told. Some get found instead.
This one didn't come from one person. It came from the people he'd left behind, and an old, abandoned security tape that kept recording long after everyone stopped watching it. Ethan's shift ran from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. 12 camera feeds, 1 cold cup of coffee, and enough fluorescent light to give anyone a headache by sunrise. He worked the office park on the edge of town. 3 buildings, a parking lot big enough for 400 cars, and absolutely nobody in any of them after dark. Most nights he just watched empty hallways flicker on 12 screens and counted the hours. Frank Dawson did maintenance on the same night shift. Older guy, maybe 60, always smelled like coffee and machine oil. He used to lean in the doorway of the security office and say the same thing almost every week.
These buildings are creepier when they're empty, you know that?
Ethan would laugh it off. Tell him it was just drywall and bad lighting. Nothing ever happened out there. That was the whole appeal of the job. Boring, predictable, safe. Then Camera 7 started glitching. Camera 7 covered the rear parking lot. Quiet corner, barely used. Mostly just employee cars during the day and nothing at night. At 1:13 in the morning, Ethan watched a white van pull into that lot. 2 men got out. One of them walked up to a parked car and smashed the side window with something. A bar. Maybe a hammer. He sat straight up in his chair.
What the hell?
He grabbed the radio. Then he looked out the actual window of the office. The one that looked right out onto that same lot. It was empty. No van. No men. Nothing. He rewound the footage. The break-in was still there, clear as anything. He checked the timestamp on the recording. 1:13 a.m. He checked the clock on the wall. 12:58. 15 minutes before it happened. He told himself it was a glitch, a corrupted file, a timestamp error, something boring and technical. He kept watching the clock anyway. At exactly 1:13, the van pulled into the lot. Same angle, same 2 men, same window, same car, same swing of the arm. Second for second, identical to what he'd already watched 15 minutes earlier. Ethan couldn't let it go after that. The next night, he sat in front of Camera 7 and just waited. At 2:04 a.m., he saw himself walk out into frame, which made no sense because he was sitting in the office at that exact moment, watching himself on the screen. Future Ethan was holding a coffee cup. He dropped it. It shattered on the pavement, and he swore loud enough that it almost carried through the monitor. 15 minutes later, Ethan walked outside for a smoke break, coffee in hand. He didn't even remember deciding to drop it. It just slipped, and he cursed exactly the way he'd watched himself curse 15 minutes earlier. That's when he started testing it on purpose. The footage showed future Ethan scratching his nose. So he scratched his chin instead, deliberately, just to prove he had a choice. 15 minutes later, his nose started itching. He told himself he wouldn't scratch it. He scratched it anyway, without even thinking. Exactly the way the footage had shown.
What the hell is wrong with me?
No matter what he tried, the future on that screen always won. He brought his day shift supervisor, Maya Rodriguez, in to see it. She'd worked there longer than he had and had zero patience for nonsense.
Ethan, you're exhausted. You've been pulling doubles.
Just watch the timestamp.
It's a software bug. Cameras glitch, the DVR box is 15 years old.
No, watch.
They sat there together. Camera 7 showed Frank walking into Building C. Ethan checked the clock. 15 minutes before he was due to make that round. Maya crossed her arms and waited, mostly to humor him. 15 minutes later, Frank walked into Building C. Exactly the same way. Same pace, same hand on the door, same pause before he stepped through. Maya went pale. Neither of them said anything for a long moment.
Okay. That's not normal.
After that night, the gap kept growing. It wasn't 15 minutes anymore. Then it was 30. Then a full hour. And the footage stopped just showing things that were going to happen. It started showing things that didn't make sense at all. One night, Camera 7 showed a woman standing motionless in the parking lot, facing Building B. Just standing there. Not moving, not leaving, just watching the building like she was waiting for something. Ethan went out there himself to check. Nobody. Empty lot. Just like always. An hour later she was there, standing in the exact spot the footage had shown, facing the exact same direction. He went back and watched the recording frame by frame, trying to get a clear look at her face. It was blurred. Not bad camera quality. He checked every other frame on that same recording, and everything else was sharp. Just her face. As if the image itself refused to focus on her. Then there was the other figure. Tall. Always far in the background. But never noticed by anyone in the moment it actually happened. Only the future footage ever caught it. Frank, Maya, Lisa from the front office. The shadow showed up behind every one of them eventually, a little closer each night than the last time. Ethan started to think someone was stalking the property. A real person, flesh and blood, just very good at staying out of sight. He called it in. Officer Reed came out, walked the perimeter, checked every camera angle himself. Found nothing.
You know how this sounds, right?
He knew exactly how it sounded. A night guard losing sleep, seeing shapes that weren't there. Nobody believed in the shadow, except Camera 7. Camera 7 believed in it completely. One night, the future footage showed Frank stepping into the service elevator. The shadow followed him in, right behind his shoulder. The doors closed. The recording ended there. Just static. Ethan panicked. Called Frank's cell. No answer. He ran through the building floor by floor until he found the elevator stuck between levels, doors jammed. Frank was inside, badly hurt, barely conscious. Ethan got him out, got the paramedics there, rode with him until they took him. Before they loaded him into the ambulance, Frank grabbed his arm.
There was someone in there.
What?
He gripped harder, like he needed Ethan to actually hear it.
I wasn't alone.
After that, Ethan went back through every hour of archived footage he could pull. Months of it. Thousands of hours of empty hallways and quiet parking lots he'd never had a reason to actually look at closely. The shadow had always been there, buried in reflections off windows, standing at the edge of hallways, half visible at the back of parking lots, in recordings going back years before he ever started the job. It had been watching this place the entire time, waiting, and every recording showed it a little closer to the people who worked there than the one before it. Nobody had ever noticed, because nobody had ever really looked. Except now Ethan understood something else. The camera wasn't showing him the future exactly as it was going to happen. It was showing him what happened after the shadow got there first. Like something was rewriting the next few minutes of reality before they occurred. camera was just the only thing catching the edit. One night, the clock read 1:05 a.m. and camera 7 was already showing 2:05. The security office an hour ahead. Future Ethan was sitting at the desk. The shadow was standing directly behind the chair, closer than it had ever stood to anyone. Future Ethan turned slowly, like he'd heard something behind him. Then the screen filled with static. When the picture came back for half a second, there was blood across the desk. The recording ended. Ethan had 1 hour left. He didn't wait around to find out if it was real. He left the building, got in his car, and drove. Threw his phone out the window somewhere on the highway, as if that would matter. Checked into a motel under a different name, and just sat there, watching the clock. 2:05 came and went. Nothing happened. For about 10 minutes, he actually let himself believe he'd beaten it. Then the motel television turned on by itself. Static, then a picture. The security office, live. The shadow was standing inside it, facing the camera directly. Then it turned slowly and looked straight at him. Through a television, in a motel 40 minutes away. Somehow it knew exactly where he was. Ethan drove straight back. The security office was empty when he got there. Camera 7 was still running. The monitor wasn't showing him an hour ahead anymore. It was showing him a full day ahead. The next morning, police cars outside the building, crime scene tape across the entrance, a body bag being wheeled out on a stretcher. Officer Reed standing there, talking quietly to Maya, who had her hand over her mouth. The camera panned slow and deliberate until it lined up directly on the body bag. It was him. Then the footage changed. Future Ethan looked straight into the lens. Not dead, not in a bag. Very clearly alive and very clearly terrified.
And don't let it see you.
The screen went black. And from somewhere behind him, in the dark of the empty office, a voice he didn't recognize whispered one word. Too late. That's where it ends. No explanation. No reveal of what it actually was. A time loop. A ghost. An entity. A different timeline bleeding into this one. Or something rewriting reality just enough to get what it wanted. Nobody ever found out.